Welcome everyone to the Virginia Beach Public Library art exhibit and Meet the Artist event for Shirley Lu. I'm Sandy Hopkins, Adult Services Librarian for the Virginia Beach Public Library, and our host is Robert Kennedy, Volunteer Art Gallery Coordinator for the Central Library in Virginia Beach. Good evening, Robert. Would you please introduce the artist?
Thanks, Sandy, and welcome to all. We appreciate you joining us. We are very pleased to welcome artist Shirley Lu. After completing a degree in illustration, Shirley worked for more than 20 years in commercial art and design for footwear design and dinnerware pattern design companies, as well as an interior designer. In her free time, Shirley pursued fine art, which was her true passion. Her training in illustration focused on technique, which strengthens her rendering of detail in different art media and various subjects. Previously, Shirley mainly painted figurative artwork with an emphasis on strong light and shadow. 5 years ago, her focus shifted to the depiction of the natural world, particularly water. Shirley explains that water is a powerful element in any form. In waves, ripples, or raindrops, it catches the light and all the colors around it, reflecting onto the surface and transforming into abstract patterns that dance, glisten, and mesmerize the eye in a calming, mindful way. Besides painting, Shirley equally enjoys drawing, mostly in ballpoint pen, usually taking a sketchbook wherever she goes. Her drawings also feature nature, such as trees and wildlife. Her love of drawing animals inspired her to focus more on endangered and threatened species to bring awareness of their plight through her art. She also works with an organization that raises funds for endangered species. Shirley is always thinking of creative ideas and likes to challenge herself to try a new medium or something different. For example, painting or drawing on a small scale, including her most recent oil painting on a penny, which is part of the Small Works exhibition currently at the Charles Taylor Visual Arts Center in Hampton. Shirley has shown her artwork in multiple cities in England, as well as California, New Jersey, New York, and Hampton Roads. Her paintings have received numerous awards, including First Place and Best in Show. She is associated with the Artist Gallery in Virginia Beach. Welcome, Shirley. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to your presentation.
Hi, how are you? Thank you very much, Robert and Sandy, for having me for this artist intro. My art career come different section in my life, but most recent one is actually about 6 years ago. After my son's a little older, I can start independently painting again. Since I used to do figurative work, so I kind of want to try something new, something different. Moving to Virginia Beach, it's really hard not to want to paint the ocean. But I don't want to paint seascape, which is a lot of artists already do. I want to do something a little different. So I started trying my first painting of a water, which kind of like what I used to do with the figurative. I focus on strong light and shadow, strong light and dark contrast in color, or minimum palette, minimum color choice of my painting. So this is the first painting that I did with water. Very simple blue surface of the ocean, just to has that capture the highlight of a single edge of a wave and a little small wave in the background. And I fall in love with it. So I continue doing more, a little different one. Here we go. So same thing was the capture of the highlight on the surface of the water while it's moving, but this one has a little, it's during the sunset, so it has a little orange that showed up on the highlight, but it's not intense enough that took away the shape, the actual movement of the water. So when I paint water, I usually have an end result in my head before I even started. So I have a goal, I have a direction to continue. And many times, if I toward to the end of a painting, if I actually feel the movement of the water, and I know it's about done. And so I paint a couple of the surfers, and then I figure, what else can I paint with water? So maybe underwater. So I kind of like also underwater is kind of nice also because the sun peeking through, so the highlight area it's from undersea. But the seawater and the sun color, which is it's a little bit of yellow, so they have some of the teal and the green mix into it. So it became very a little more colorful, a little more vivid, rather than a deep blue ocean. And painting water, ocean, so made me think of, what about a freshwater? Freshwater, this actually is started as a study, so it's not a big piece, because I don't know how to approach a freshwater, because freshwater, like say in a lake or in a river or a creek, you often the highlight, you don't have the wave, you have the ripple, but the color completely changed because the color is what's around it that reflected. For example, rocks, or if there's a house, or the forest, or the plant or flower. So this kind of like is a study. So let me kind of learn from it, see if I want to approach different type of water rather than ocean. And then actually this one is one of the painting I finished very quick and turned out really nice. So to give me a courage to try something else. A lot of time I did a painting, I like to make it a little more atmospheric. So like a foggy, but a lot of foggy picture that I found on the ocean, a lot of time have that completely monochromatic look. Just different value of gray, or different value of teal, or a slate blue. It often is during the storm. It's in the daytime with the storm, you block the sun, the cloud is so low. So I decide to try it, and this one, it has made me want to do a little more, but unfortunately I'm not a good photographer, and I'm not a good swimmer. So far, besides the freshwater, that all those few painting that you saw, it has to be taken in the middle of the water rather than on the edge of the shore. You can't capture those kind of dramatic wave unless you're in the middle of the water. So I'm lucky enough to met several surfer photographer on the internet that they are very willing to let me use their image to do a painting. So a lot of time when I saw a picture that I asked for permission, but I always let them know, because for me, what I saw, it's just a subject matter, but I'll crop it, I'll change the color. Sometimes it's a photograph is daytime, but I want to paint it more like sun is already set, but still has a remaining a little light in the horizon that shine through, like this one. This one, it's the first painting I started trying to paint a different time of day, but that's also made me start curious more about water, only because I found out a different time of day has a different color. The waves different time of month, the water moves differently. And this one is also a freshwater, but I never know freshwater, the ripple like this, because this is a swimming pool. Swimming pool changes color a lot and change completely pattern, because depends the liner or the fiberglass color that you have, so the water color changes. Also depends what you have. If you have a pink umbrella or a couple a launch chair on the side that has a bright color cover, that reflect the different light into the water, and while it's moving, the sun is shining, it is completely changed the feel. And especially when I take a picture of it and I crop it to certain pattern that I wanted or certain intensify color, and often I will make it a little more intense or less intense, or I will make the highlight shine more or less. I have a control, but usually I have a feel of what I want to do in my head. And this one, it's a very unique, it's one of the unique painting that I did was the pool water. And I feel more intriguing about water because all different type of water in different area, it just so looks so differently. And like, for example, this one, I'm lucky enough to use a surfer photographer that this one picture is taken on in Spain, in this ocean town that the back of it is actually all hotels. So this one is sun is setting, and the focus, it's like right here. I don't know if you can see the cursor. The focus of the camera is right here. Everything all muted. So all that light sparkle is actually from the hotel lights in the background that reflect on this, reflect into the distance of the surface and create that sparkle. And so this one has a similar look, but it's a little earlier. So it's actually a sunset. And I definitely like to capture the light, how the light hits on the surface of the water, and just to watch how the water moves. By painting water for the past few years, I have learned how the water move to specific direction. So if I don't really have a good resolution picture, I can actually kind of see, I'll create a stroke that's not showing on my photograph. So because I want the viewer to see the direction of this particular ripple, a little wave, want to go. So create that perspective into my painting. And this painting, I learned a lot. Another surfer photographer's photo. From doing this while I'm painting this painting, I have learned actually a big splash is created by thousand and thousand a little droplet. So from, you can see all the droplet here. This is a big one, but all this curve on the edge, on the side, all that half moon, half curve shape you see, that's how I realized. And it's especially like right on the left bottom that go up, you can see how the droplet move up to the top and starting push it up and create that splash that being captured. So it's almost like a science class for me to learn how magical water is, even when it's moving, and then to learn how a splash actually being created. And it's really something. And this one, it's a freshwater. That's why it's very different in terms of color and also in terms of the pattern. Because freshwater, this is actually a Smith Lake in between Norfolk and Virginia Beach. And that day it's a little bit overcast. There's still some lights come in, but the reason the pattern different because every dark brown dark brown color that you see create that pattern is actually tree or branches that reflected to the water that create that movement. It create that movement of the water. So even though it's kind of sitting still, not moving much, but because the wind that moved the branch a little bit, so a little bit of up and down ripple, and then a little light that peeking through that cloud that just create a beautiful pattern. And I never really pay attention on water surface like that until I start painting water. And then more and more I paint, the more fascinating I become. And sometimes, like this is a great example, I change the color. This is also a pool water. Only I notice pool water creates certain type of sparkle and creates certain type of pattern. And then it's very different than I say the water in the pond or water in a lake. And this one, it's for show. It's called Purple Haze. So I want to bring some of that purplish out to the blue, because a lot of pool water is because the liner or the fiberglass, so it has actually a more vibrant blue into it. So it's not really, it's more artificial in terms of color, but it'll also make it very fun and very alive. And this is one of the newer painting that I did. Actually, I finished it this year, this one. I always want to try different thing in water. At first I thought besides the wave, what can I paint? The big wave, small wave, you know, what other things can I, until I start painting the fresh water in the pond, in the lake, in the creek, in the water, in the swimming pool. So I more and more want to find different way. Like I'll rent to a backyard while it's raining, so I get to take picture of the raindrop on a puddle on my deck, things like that. So, but I also like to add a little more color into my painting, so it's not always so much blue. But by adding little color, you have to make sense. You cannot just add color in. So a lot of time, the beautiful colors are either sunrise or sunset that has that a little remaining of that orange peachy color that reflected to the surface of the light. That's what creates it. And this painting also, the difference is you can see right here, the darker blue, that the stroke is different here, because that way you can tell the wind is actually moving on this area more than on this area. So I know people look at painting, might look at just, this is beautiful, this is nice, but never really look at that kind of detail. But for me, that's what catches my eyes when I see a photo and I took a picture. It's almost like learning take a lesson and watch how the wind go, how the water form, like a science class. That's what fascinates me so much. So raindrop, so this is something new. I also finished this year. Just want to try capture just a single raindrop, kind of magnify it. And I like when I draw, I like to make it a little more zen kind of feel. Drawing is something that bring me to a place that nothing can. It's almost like a meditation to me. So I really enjoy, and I love how I'll be able to capture this single raindrop rings. So really, and that made me start thinking more what I want to do more in terms of using graphite, just to capture some little bit of maybe a single wave or just a single droplet. And that's another way of doing a water. Sometimes I just want to try different thing, as I said. So doing a water in a creek, it's not complete. You have to, this one, it's a little different. For me, it's a little challenging because I cannot think that I'm painting water when I'm doing all those rocks. I have to keep my mind thinking I'm painting rocks. And then rocks has crevices in between, has a different size, a different shape, and then not two are the same. So before I have to think all the highlight that I saw from the water on the rock, but rock is actually the key. It's the main. It's the star of this painting, not the water. I have to get my mind thinking at that. So the rock will show more rather than show the water, because this way, this painting I only show how the light reflected to it, but there's no anywhere that shows the blue of the water because it's so shallow. So you see all the rock first. And another form that I take on is the droplet on the window. And sometimes just really simple things. You're sitting in the car, like, waiting with my son for his school bus, and then the rain just stopped. And on my windshield, that's what I saw. So I take a quick picture, and I really enjoy painting it, especially each droplet. It feels like you actually looking out the window. And this one is one of my most recent water painting. And I took the picture during the pandemic, which is last year. I remember sitting on the kitchen table, look out the window. The rain just about stopped, and it's just a little drizzle outside then. And the sun, it started peeking through the cloud, but the sun also is setting. So you can see the light is coming through, not intense yellow, but it is coming through between all the leaves in the tree in the background. And so that made me actually feels like tomorrow is another day. Even though it's at the end of the day, the sun is setting, the rain just stopped. Somehow the pandemic make everything just a little more melancholy, I guess. And besides painting different water, I also want to try on different surface or different shape. So I did a round one. I'm really glad I did this in the round rather than a square or a rectangular, only because that kind of increased the focus of the focal point, that to be a center, that make viewer keep on want to see further, keep on going in, and the remaining the light of the day is still showed up in the horizon, but you can also tell the day is almost gone, but you can also see the little bit of the wave like right here, and that kind of bring your eyes keep on moving in. So I'm really happy was I choose this subject matter on this specific shape. Sorry about the picture, because I have a hard time taking picture when it's an odd shape like this. This one is on the actual palette, the wood palette. And just to catch that splash, and then try on wood. And I have another one, which is, this is one of my favorite. And I did say from the very beginning, I don't want to paint seascape, but somehow this one, it catches my heart for whatever reason. But doing painting on wood, it's kind of similar, a little similar painting on canvas. The differences, it's a lot more prep work, because wood, on the edge of the wood, it's what, if it's a moisture content too much in the air, it's what will expand first. So all the edge have to seal first before I seal the top. And then depends. And this particular one is actually a pellet. It's not meant for painting. So I have to sand the surface first and sand all the edge before I can even seal all around it. Then paint it. Sometimes this is another one. I try to paint on a different surface. I happen to find a really large oyster shell, and so I tried to paint it, but I don't want to just put it in the frame. I want to make it a little more like a sculpture. So I use a smaller shell that I found as a pedestal, to make the bigger shell stand up and put a pedestal on the bottom. So painting different surface on different things, sometimes it's a challenge, but sometimes it's just like, I always think it's like, what if I can do this? What if I can do that? But the only way to do it is to do it. There's no other way. So this is actually a tabletop chalkboard, and I saw it. I'm like, technically, by painting oil, you can gesso anything on any surface and you can paint on it. So I did a lot of those. I literally just gesso and paint on a lot of different surfaces. Hey, if I don't try it, I will not stop thinking about it, right? So, because the painting doesn't have to always hang on the wall. You can put it as a decoration on a coffee table, on a desk, or on the sideboard. Not everything has to hang on the wall, right? Sometimes because a different show, I will try to challenge myself, paint something a little different. And or sometimes because we travel or family or a friend travel, they have a nice picture, and then I'll use it for painting. And this is one of the painting that I did for a show. I want to do a nice scene. So, but painting something for a show, not what I usually do, it takes a little of a challenge. But I do like a bit of challenge that made me learn a lot of things. Sometimes we'll learn a little different method that I don't usually use. Or if I never paint cloud, and cloud is another thing. It's like water. It has so many different forms, different time of the day or different time of year, and it look completely different. And this one, actually, my husband took the picture. I remember we have to wake up 3:30 in the morning, arrive there about 5-ish or 4:40, something like that. The sun just came out for my son's Shamrock run that day. But it was well worth it to get up very early sometime to see magnificent view from our own Virginia Beach. And this one is also another challenge. It's never easy to paint other people's painting. This is Flaming June after Sir Frederick Leighton, which is a pre-Raphaelite. And Virginia Beach Art Center, the Artist Gallery, every month have a new theme for different for show. Sometime I will join just because I want to challenge myself and see what I can do. Flaming June is the one for Fabulous Forgery, which is a wonderful show. A lot of artists do what they don't usually do and try to create, try to actually study a piece from a master and recreate it, either copy or do something similar. And this is also from a show that I happened to just capture from my mirror while my husband's driving. It just fascinates me how what's reflected and then seen. and became a little more contemporary feel and a little more shape. So straight line perspective, but still you can see all the wood, all the tree that's around it. And same thing as this one. It's for another show, but this painting is a little different because the idea wise, it's ideas from a picture that I took in Charleston, and I look up a flag in the sky, and I took a picture. But when it's time that I have to create a painting similar, I don't like how the flag in my picture flow. So I had to find a picture that move in the wind nicely and in a similar angle. I had to find a cloud that will work well with the pattern of the American flag. And also the flag that I found doesn't have a pole, so I have to use the pole from the picture I took. But the key is you have to have the right angle to go together. So this one, I actually have to use 3 or 4 different pictures as a reference before I can even paint this one. And now we're going to a smaller piece. Charles Taylor Art Center in Hampton also has a small work in around the end of year, but this because the pandemic, so this year's actually in July. And Artist Gallery also have some small work, so sometimes I'll join the show just to see what I can do on a smaller scale. When I do a figurative painting, I usually do about 4 feet, 5 feet, or larger painting. So doing small work is completely opposite. But as I said before, I do like a bit of challenge. Sometimes I'll try different medium on a different material, just see how it will look. So this one is actually for small work and with a ballpoint pen, and I tinted with the oil because I did not seal the wood. I want the wood to penetrate in and to see how it will show it. It's a small piece. If it doesn't look good, I figure I can always start over again. It's a learning experience. This is also another small piece I did. The difference is I'm painting on a piece of copper. Copper is oil painting on copper. It's not a new thing. Rembrandt, a lot of artists, Dutch artists from a master, they did it. It's different. It's kind of, for me, it's a little kind of like wood, but you don't have to put gesso. The best part is you don't have to put gesso. The oil paint just stick to it. And I loved how the smooths the surfaces, especially doing the skin tone. So you don't have all the grain like the canvas does, or wood grain, so you don't have to sand it. So I really like how painting on copper. And then it's the best part that it's a natural material. And this one is also from a forgery piece. Instead of a copy of a whole portrait, the hands just caught my eyes. So I decided to paint just the hand, because the hand looked like there's another story behind the portrait. So this goes to my small works. As Robert mentioned during the intro earlier, that I do some small painting on the side, whenever a show needed, or sometimes just a little challenge that for myself that I think I can do it. This one's actually, I saw the frame, I falling in love with the frame, but the inside is 2x3. So I cut a piece of wood that's 2x3 and did a painting, and then ended up really like it. So I ended up doing a lot more, like a little painting, a fine miniature frame like this, either watercolor or paint ink. I do it around Christmas time. Like this one, it's It's also in the Charles Taylor Art Center right now, and you can see was a quarter as a scale. It's a small painting, about 2" by 3" Dismal Swamp. And this is the smallest painting I ever done, which is on a penny. I'm not a good photographer, so on the right side is the picture I took. On the left side, they have a professional did this painting for a poster. So I'm glad they did and put penny right next to it to see the size of it. It's challenge. I do have a magnifying light, which is like a clip-on light on the edge of the desk, but has a magnifying glass in the middle and a light around it. So I have to, and I have a set of detail brush. So I have to use that magnifying light with the magnifying glass and with a detail brush. Sometimes I have to use a fan brush, but my hand is holding on the edge of just a couple bristles, so I can get that fine line to it. So make it look like the edge of the tree, that feathering look on the edge of the tree. And also I do that little tiny dot in between, so it's like the light shining through all the leaves in the forest. So it turned out really nice. And then I know, but finding the subject matter that work well on a little tiny painting, a little tiny penny, it's a challenge, because I want something I can right away capture viewer's eye. So make viewer want to look further. So I know I need to find something that has a good perspective. Having a path that keep on going in, and as still that light coming through all the leaves, through the trees, and that actually make this look so much nicer on a little tiny scale. So this is to show how, like, this side is what you see with the magnifying light. And I actually like look through it. I have to have the reading glasses and look through the magnifying glass, be able to paint this little watercolor Buddha, which is 2" by 3". So doing little work, that's how I do. I don't have the best of the eyesight, but that's how I do it. And other than painting, I do a little bit of one of my passion is ballpoint pen and pen and ink. And so this is also a small work that's in Charles Taylor right now. It's pen and ink, but it's very small. It's all 2" by 3". And the architecture building, it's always one of my love in Europe. So ballpoint pen, I fell in love with ballpoint pen a few years ago when I realized I can actually draw with it. You draw just like graphite pencil, no different. The only difference is you cannot erase. The reason I showed this picture, because you can see the pen that I use. These two are just regular big pen. This one is from Hilton Hotel. It's those free pen in the hotel room. And that's exactly what you need. There's no art material. And this one is zebra, but it's just, the difference is it's also, zebra also has a cheap, like a big pen, pack of 10 for like $2 or something. But this one, it's just refillable. Since I draw a lot with ballpoint pen, I want to eliminate throwaway plastic. So I use a refillable. And a lot of time it just comes from my sketchbook. I never really think that I can use ballpoint pen to draw like a piece I can frame and actually put in the gallery. It started just as Inktober. Every October has an Inktober. It's on Facebook or Instagram. I think it's a lot bigger on Instagram. So that basically artists start doing it by using ink. He find out tried to do it once a day. He actually improved his drawing skill a lot. So he started at Inktober, hoping other can join him. So I started about 2-3 years ago, and I don't really have time to do it every day, but I do it probably 20 day the first time I did it, and I have to say I love it. It's definitely definitely improved my drawing skill a lot. I mean, especially with the ink, because they kind of they make your mind think different because there's no erase. So you have to think ahead what you want to put it down and where you want to put it down and how hard or how light you want to put it down. So your mind have to think ahead, not because there's no erase. And this is my very first wildlife with ballpoint. I'm my very first wildlife period. But ever since I find out I can do those little bumps on the texture of the rhino's skin with the ballpoint pen, I'm just like, oh, I wonder if I can do it on the feather, on the fur, on the animal, or on the detail on the flower. So this is also on my sketchbook with a buffalo. I love how I can do the detail with all the hair just by using regular ballpoint pen. Since I enjoy drawing a lot, and I do have some follower on Instagram and Facebook, so I want to use my art skill, bring some awareness. So two things I did. One, I decide to save a lot of boxes. This one just a toothpaste box, and I draw on the back of it. And so I'll save a whole bunch of different boxes so I can draw on it. Try to make it more like a recycle awareness. Another thing is, since I realized I can use ballpoint pen to draw hairs, a texture of a rhino, so I joined an organization. I joined an organization in England that raised funding for endangered species. So this is a kudu, and this is also on the box. Actually, it's a small box of anchovy. So you can see anchovy can is very small. You open that box, it's not really that big. But I did a lot of drawing, or either pen and ink, ballpoint pen, or pencil. I do it on tone paper, which has a little bit of brown, a little bit of gray. So on bleach box is actually a perfect. So I can add a little highlight, a little white, just to bring the highlight out, like where the eyes is, or some of the hair, that the white hair that inside the ear need to stand out more. And this is kind of one of the pieces since I started ballpoint pen. One time I basically just bring my sketchbook to the gallery, and a lot of artists saw it. So they all tell me, why don't I frame any of it? They're beautiful. And that's when I start doing a little larger piece on my ballpoint pen, and using it as one of my tool for my artwork. And when I draw, I miss painting. When I paint, I miss drawing. So, and my job is not artist first, it's mommy first, wife second, and the third, it's artist. So my mind's always going, want to know what to do next. So this is one of the artwork that was showing in England for that organization, which is done with different brown and orange and black ballpoint pen. And this is also done by ballpoint pen. This is the big pen, the 4-color big pen. That's it. The 4-color big pen, if you know how to mix it, it can get that pinkish skin tone into it. It took me a little while to figure out how, but once I figured out, I'm just like really happy. And this is actually a lot larger piece. Before I started doing the tone paper, I actually stained the paper with just a a little browns, because because this town is actually a town that everything's still preserved to from hundreds of years ago. Everything is made out of wood, remaining the wood color. And there's a mountain in the back and a tree in the back. So I want to maintain that. I want to keep that brownish look, and just using the black ballpoint pen for this work. And another one that I've done recently, it's on the map of Neptune. You can see a little more detail. It's actually, the Neptune probably is about 8 to 10 inch tall, but it takes a lot of time. But I really enjoy it. As I said, doing ballpoint pen, it's kind of like a meditation for me, and it take me to a little quiet place that I believe everyone needs it sometime. And for me, and this is the way I spend my little quiet time. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. That was really excellent. You really did a wonderful job, really thoughtful, explaining your art and your choices and development. And I can really see your design background in your wonderful compositions and so forth. Actually, I was wondering, are you mainly self-taught in painting, or did you take classes, or?
No, I went to college. My major was illustration. So the difference between illustration and fine art majors. Fine art major study a lot of history and theory, but illustration is all about technique. So I have to learn a lot of different technique, a different medium, and because the professor always say, you never know when you graduate who's going to be your client and what are they looking for. So you have to be able to use all different media and learn different techniques for your approach. So we actually have to learn a lot, even wood shop. So I have to learn how to cut wood, how to use all the machine tool to make mold and things like that. Because illustration could be 3D, but by learning all those kind of different skill, that kind of made me able to, if I have an image in my head, right away I can see, okay, I can see this image will do better in pastel, or this image will do better in watercolor, because I can do them all.
That's great. Yeah, and it really has served you well. Your drawing skill is amazing. I'm wowed by the small drawings, but also the hands. Hands and feet are very difficult to draw and paint, but the up close in the forgery show, really, really impressive. And you're so thoughtful about your process, and you explain so well. I'm actually curious whether you teach art, or have you ever? Would you think about it?
Yes, I have been teach for about 20 years. From California to here. I'm also currently teaches in the Virginia Beach Art Center.
Okay. Oh, great. And your work can be seen in the artist gallery. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, good. And they're let's see, they're open. They're in the Vibe District.
Yes.
532 Virginia Beach Boulevard, and Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 5, Saturday, 10 to 4, and Sunday, noon to 4, I believe. Yeah, so that's everybody needs to go down and see your artwork. And I really want to see the small work show. I'm just amazed what you can do. That is still there. Is that correct?
I think it's starting either this week or next week. I have to find out the date. I know they starting in July, but I know the virtual award opening. Right. I think it's next weekend.
Okay,
no, and then this weekend. It's this weekend.
Oh, okay. Oh, very good. And then it runs.
I mean, it's July 24th It's their July 24th. It's their virtual opening.
Okay, and then they run through August, I believe, into
Yes,
September, perhaps?
they
Okay,
usually about 6 weeks. And you can
okay.
actually, right now, luckily, you can actually visit in person. You can actually go in there and see all the wonderful painting in there in person.
Oh, great, great. Yeah, it's a really wonderful place and
Yes.
very close to Norfolk and Virginia Beach. So good. Yeah, I'm definitely going to go see that. And your creativity is awe-inspiring as well, and the different surfaces. Who would think of a toothpaste box and so forth? Are there any surfaces that you haven't painted or drawn on that you would like to?
Yeah, a glass, mainly a mirror.
Ah,
Because
okay.
yeah, for me that would be hard only because whatever I don't want to cover the whole mirror, so I want
Right.
some of the mirror show through. So so that is something has been in my head how to approach because I have to gesso it, be able to work, but gesso have to stick. So whatever I want to have an image on, I have to lightly sand it first to let the gesso stick. So still process in my head, but whatever that gray color of the mirror that need to be think as a part of the image. Otherwise, you will take away from what you're gonna paint on it. So it's
Sure.
still a process, something that want. I'm thinking about it.
Wow, that's
How
great.
to approach?
That's
Yeah.
great. I love these ideas you have. And again, you're so creative and always
Thank you. Thank you.
challenging. It's a great thing.
Thank you.
Actually,
Thank
do you have any advice for aspiring artists, whether they're young or whether middle age or maybe retirement, getting started? Do you have any advice?
Yes, this is something that I always tell my student. Don't overthink. Enjoy your process. Who cares if it didn't turn out the way you want to and do another one? You're here to enjoy. Not you're nobody gonna judge you. You are judging yourself, but don't drive yourself crazy. Just do it and enjoy it.
Yes, that's great advice. Yeah, don't get frustrated, too quickly. And anytime anyone starts anything, that's very easy to do and second
Yep.
guess yourself. So just
Yep,
be
definitely.
bold and courageous, as you have been.
Be free. Yep, be
Yes,
free.
yes, exactly. So, do you have any projects or shows coming up, or what's the future hold for you?
No, not really, not at this point, but I just recently started doing pastel again. I usually long time ago I used pastel as mixed media, but never really use it as a main medium. But lately I started again doing a couple pieces. So I really enjoy, so I kind of want to do a little more pastel and because the technique is a little different and the surface is a little different. So
Okay,
I want to that's what my direction so far. And I did a couple little pieces just like the study of the ocean, and I really like it, so I might do larger. um but whether I will complete switch from oil to pastel,
right.
I'm not sure at this point, but I
Okay.
always love to try something new. I'm never
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
stop.
that's great. Yeah, and pastels can be so beautiful. And so your idea is to do
Yes.
more water paintings in pastel then?
Pastel for me, I can do very detailed. I can do very detailed work. I don't know, is there work in my background? I did a markhorn. Markhorn, it's an endangered species goat. I think it's from um Afghanistan, something like that, that
Sure.
area. And I did it with pastel in the background, pastel pencil in the front. Just you know how I love to do the wildlife with the hair, every single hair. So I did that, and it actually turned out pretty good results. So I think I probably make it more on the animal or on the tree, that you can actually see the surface of the tree trunk, like detail.
Yeah, and your eye for detail is really magnificent, and it's great work that you do also, promoting, with the environmental awareness and endangered species. So that's great work, definitely.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. Thank you.
all right. Well, again, we really appreciate you joining us. It was just a wonderful presentation. And we encourage everyone to look at your website, and better yet, stop by the Artist Gallery and also see the small work show after it opens this weekend. And
Yes.
we wish you very best luck, Shirley, in the future. We hope to see
Thank you
in
very
Central
much.
Library Gallery again, too.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And we thank all of you for joining us as well. And in September, we will actually be back in the gallery in Central Library in Virginia Beach with the figurative paintings by Yegliam Barzaga. And so we hope to see you there. Thanks very much.
Thank you.